In June of 1969, two Black children walked into their local YMCA in Montgomery, Alabama, to enroll in summer camp. They were turned away because of their race. Like other cities across the Deep South in the 1960s, Montgomery closed swimming pools, parks, and playgrounds rather than follow court orders to integrate them. Some pools were even filled with dirt. The YMCA helped fill the city's recreational needs, but continued to segregate children based on race. That's when our co-founders sued and later won. The court ruled that the YMCA must end its policy of racial discrimination. The case laid the foundation for the Southern Poverty Law Center, becoming a bellwether of our cases to come. While the nation celebrated passage of landmark civil rights laws in the 1950s and 1960s, the promise of these laws did not always guarantee real protections in people's lives. Resistance to progress was strong. Racial discrimination and violence cast long shadows in the South. Black, brown, Asian, and indigenous people and others historically pushed to the margins were still excluded from good jobs, adequate housing, quality education, and other opportunities. And they had little recourse to demand justice. Our co-founders, Joe Levin and Morris Dees, sought to change that. In 1971, they formally incorporated the Southern Poverty Law Center and named civil rights leader Julian Bond as president. In the decades that followed, we took on cases that few others at the time were willing to pursue. Cases that tested civil rights laws, held powerful institutions accountable, and challenged and even bankrupted the most hateful organizations in the nation. SPLC also launched programs to prevent hate from taking root in the first place. Today, that legacy of fighting for racial equity and civil rights in the Deep South is more important than at any time in modern history. Extremists are growing bolder and have pushed white supremacist ideology back into the mainstream. Lawmakers and the courts are reversing progress and rescinding rights that were once thought to be unassailable, like the right to bodily autonomy and the right to vote. This moment demands action. It demands that we act within our collective power to make change. That's why, under new leadership, the Southern Poverty Law Center is building power for a multiracial, inclusive democracy to ensure the promise of equal justice is real for all. Alongside our litigation efforts, we are leading transformational change through community organizing and outreach, policy advocacy, tracking and reporting on hate and extremism, and shaping narratives. And we're living into our values through 4 priority areas: strengthening democracy and civic engagement, relegating white supremacy out of the mainstream, decarcerating and decriminalizing communities of color, and eradicating poverty. At the heart of this evolution are the communities we work alongside and the region we call home. We're embracing more fully than ever our roots in the Deep South. We have opened state offices starting in Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia to serve as connection points between SPLC and the communities we seek to serve, and to lift up community voices, needs, and priorities. Together, we're organizing for racial equity and shifting power to Black and brown people in the South. Even while looking to the future, we remain grounded in the past. So much of our nation's progress on racial justice in the last century has been born out of Black leadership and activism, and the ongoing civil rights movement, especially in the South. We honor that history. We are inspired by that history, and as we look to the future, we embrace the powerful lesson that history holds. When we transform the South, we transform the nation.